That's right, I'm gonna have a laser inside my fuel tank. Good morning. I'm working out here in my shop today and I have the coolest rig in here I wanna show you. This is a 1979 Jeep Wagoneer named Sasquatch. It's owned by a good friend of mine, Trent Campbell. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of work on it. These look cool. I don't even know what they're for. Check this out, the interior is just as cool as the outside. This thing has a 392 Hemi, a Tremec 5-speed, a full roll cage, custom leather seats, and all the off-road goodies underneath. This vehicle went to SEMA in 2022, and it has been all over the country at car shows, and it's finally working its way back home. This thing went to Moab, and they did some rock crawling there, and there was a little damage. But the steering down here actually took some serious hits. Okay, I'm gonna show you what happened down here, so we're going up. You can see right there, that is pretty bent. It got hit down here, bent that arm. This one got hit too. Got pushed up pretty good. That's bent right there. There's a plate down here that kind of protects it, but I don't think it's able to stop it this far forward from pushing up or pushing in. All right, the front axle on this thing is a Super Duty axle, and I'm sure that this stabilizer setup was a great setup for a Super Duty, but it just hangs down too low and too far forward for a rock crawler. So I'm gonna take these off, they're a little bit bent up. The steering gear right here needs to be pulled out, removed, sent to PSC. They will port that so that it has little fittings on the side for the hydraulic ram to be added in. This is all of the stuff we took out right here. Okay, we got the stabilizers out of there, and that opened up a whole bunch of space down here to stick a hydraulic assist ram. And I think with the new ram in there, we won't even miss the stabilizers. They're so strong that they just really slow down everything and smooth it all out. They do way more than you could ever do with a steering stabilizer. I think there's plenty of space right in this area. I don't have any of those components right now, so I'm just gonna work on getting the gear out of here and get that shipped off to PSC. This bumper bracket is blocking all of the steering bolts that I need to get to on this side of the frame. So I'm just gonna cut this thing, take it out. I'll punch some holes into it so this steering gear can be serviced with the bumper in place. I'll weld it back up so it's stronger than ever. Okay, we got the steering gear out of there. I kinked the hose pretty bad getting it out, but doesn't matter because when I put in a new reservoir, that hose will get replaced anyway. So I'm gonna package this thing up and send it off to PSC. Somewhere on this steering gear, PSC will drill holes for pressure lines to come off and feed down to the hydraulic assist ram. That ram will push left and right on the tie rod as you're trying to steer. All right, this thing is all stripped down, so it's ready to come down. I'm gonna push it outside, and I'll just wait until all the stuff comes and I can put this thing back together. Obviously, it's not gonna steer now. I gotta get it out of here. Maybe I'll wait till Bridger comes home. He can help me. He is graduating this year, and he's our youngest kid, and he is moving right back to Idaho, like 2 days after he graduates. So Angela and I are like a month away from being empty nesters. It's gonna be hard. Raising kids is all we've done, so I don't know, we might be heading back up to Idaho a lot this summer. On to the next thing, which is something I've been wanting to get back to for a while, and that's this gas tank that's been sitting here. I'm gonna start by welding in this gas cap, and then I'm gonna build some kind of feet or mounts so I can bolt it into my truck. That looks like that's about the right size. So I've got a hole saw into the tank here. I feel bad I'm gonna dump a bunch of metal chips into the tank, but it has to be done. Okay, I'm ready to weld this cap on now, and I didn't want to leave the aluminum cap on here because I thought the heat might melt the threads, and I don't want the weld to like mess up the threads, like spatter to get in these. So I taped them all up, and this tape may burn up while I'm welding, but I'm okay with that. It's cooled off now, so I'm gonna check the cap here. Okay, that was a win. That cap thread's on nice and smooth. I'm gonna move on to the feet now, and I think I wanna build some little plates to strengthen up the area that the feet attach so that they don't like rip off or bend or like ever tear holes in the side of the tank when everything's sloshing and banging around. So I'm gonna make those really quick on my plasma cutter, then I'll come back here and weld them on. Okay, these are the plates I cut out. I'm gonna clean them up and deburr all the edges and get them ready to weld on. These little reinforcement panels turned out pretty nice. I'm ready to weld them in, but my daughter Jessie is coming down. She's been away at school up at Rexburg, Idaho. So we're gonna go hang out, have a little fun. I'll take you along and show you some of that. We're gonna head out and go do a couple of fun things while she's here. Ralph's got Ethan over here. Jessie doesn't like to be on the camera. This is a rare moment.
It's a rare moment. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
We should warn everybody right now, Jessie's kind of a screamer.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but my daughter brought a boy home from college. What's up with that? Isn't it enough that she has a dad? So Jessie had a friend that said my truck's too wide to go do the shoot, so we're gonna head over and do the shoot. Now Brigham's gonna be like, it was me. We're gonna come around a corner here and then we will go in through a little crack and then straight up. That's the shoot.
That is not it.
You'll be fine.
Why doesn't it fold backwards?
That's not how gravity works.
I can't do this.
You're gonna be fine. This is the part that your friend thought I wasn't gonna fit through, but we'll fit through it. We'll just drive up the side a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, we're gonna line up just right here. Okay, you ready, Jess?
No, I haven't been ready the whole time. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Just hang on.
Oh
You're good.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. Why is this working? I don't understand. Oh my gosh.
Hang on, Jess. It's gonna get really...
Oh my gosh. I don't get it.
Okay, we're going over. We're going over.
What is over? What's after this?
The down. That's it. You did it.
Okay, I did.
Nice. Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
All right, good job.
Thank you.
We're gonna stop right here and let Jessie drive for a little bit
Woo!
because she's been asking. It's in 4 low, and all you gotta do is move it into 3 and then drive.
Right there?
Yep.
So, can I turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Shall I get the gas on?
She's gonna be an off-roader. A serious hardcore off-roader one day. We had a really fun time out there. That was a great ride. It's a beautiful day. Ethan actually seems like a really nice guy, but I'm sure I will come up with a reason not to like him. Okay, we're filling up really quick at Adventure's first stop. Then we're gonna head up to Zion's. I think the hardest part of this hike is over, and that was getting a parking spot in here. But thanks to Angela, she found some people that were leaving. Good job.
Thank you.
She had to tell 2 people this spot was taken.
I had to take 2 people down. Yeah, this is competitive.
Okay, there's a few more of those, but you get the idea. I'm back in the shop. That was super fun hanging out with my daughter Jessie. She's back in Idaho now. I didn't find any major red flags with Ethan. He seemed like a really nice guy, but I'm watching. Okay, back on the fuel tank. I've got those little reinforcement plates I'm gonna weld on, and then the mounting feet. These reinforcement panels are all welded up. Now I just have to go build the feet. Cut out all my parts. Let me show you what I'm thinking. These little tubes I'm gonna cut diagonally, and I'll just keep like a wedge shaped piece. And the little bottom piece, I'll drill a hole in these. I'll weld those together to make a little foot, and I can weld them right here on the side of the tank. I got all my little pieces cut out here, and if I'd have thought about it more, I'd have realized I can use both sides of this. So I only needed 2 of those, so I have some spares. And you can see right here how they fit together. I just need to weld them all up, and then I can stick them on here. I even made sure a socket had fit in there so I can get the bolts on. I have the 4 feet all built, and I clamped 2 of them to the table here, right in the position that I need to weld them. So I'm ready to bomb those in. Everything is welded onto this thing, so now I'm gonna look for leaks. And all of these weld seams, somewhere there's probably some little tiny pinholes that if I don't address, they will seep gas forever. I can actually see a couple spots that might leak. I'm gonna hit those with a TIG welder really quick. Then I'm gonna pressurize this tank and spray some soapy water all over the seams and look for bubbles. In the whole tank, I found 1 leak, which is the perfect number to find because now I know my leak detection method is working and I don't have a lot of holes to fix. Sometimes if you weld on just a sealed container, the heat from the welding will create pressure and try to blow out the weld. So we don't want to do that. I release the pressure right here. Now I can weld up the hole. Retested it and everything looks good. But I don't want any problems with this tank in the future. I don't want pinhole leaks developing. I don't want to have corrosion issues. So I'm gonna seal this tank with this POR 15 fuel tank sealer. And there's a process for using this. There's a cleaning, washing step, and then there's a metal prep step. You need to slosh this around and then let it sit on each side for 2 hours. While the degreaser's doing its thing in the tank, I'm gonna go through this fuel pump and this fuel sender that I picked up from Holly. This is the pump. This little tiny guy will feed 400 to 500 horsepower. It's gonna work with the engine I have right now, and anything I put in there in the future. This is what's gonna bolt to the top of the tank. All the fuel's gonna come in and out through this, and it looks awesome. It's also got this cool hydromat pickup. It's like a giant sponge, so it'll soak up gas from both ends of the tank, so it doesn't matter if I'm pointed uphill or downhill, I should always have fuel to my engine. But I've got one other thing I wanna show you. This is the latest fuel level sender from Holley. This thing uses LiDAR, so there's no big arms sticking down in the tank. There's no float inside that'll crack and stop working. So LiDAR is kind of like sonar or radar. Sonar uses sound waves, so like ships or submarines in the water can send out that sound wave to detect how far another ship or submarine is away. Radar uses radio waves and it shoots them out in the sky, so you can detect how far an airplane or a UFO is. LiDAR is fairly new. It stands for light detection and ranging, and it shoots out a laser and measures how long it takes for a reflection to come back. Then it can calculate the distance to that thing. They've been using it in airplanes, shooting it down at the ground to map the earth, finding all kind of cool ruins in forests and jungles. We're gonna use it here to measure the top of the level of the gas tank, so it knows if it's far, we're low, if it's close, we're full. That's right, I'm gonna have a laser inside my fuel tank. It doesn't sound like a good idea, but we're gonna try it. Forever, the old fuel senders worked like this. They had this arm that would stick off on the side, and where this blue tape is, there was some kind of a ball or a float that would actually float on the top of the fuel level. And there's electrical contacts that would move along a resistive wire. So the resistance in here would change as the level went up and down. And then the gauge inside your vehicle would measure this resistance and it would indicate full or empty accordingly. So there are these different standards out there. And that's what's wrong with my truck. The gauge is mismatched for the fuel sender that's in the tank right now. But Holley fixed all of those issues with this new fuel sender. This sensor actually shoots out light that reflects off of the top of the fuel level. It comes back up and hits a sensor. Using that time and the speed of light, it can calculate what the distance is, and then it knows if the tank is full or empty. You can also program it using these little buttons on the inside. So it can change how much resistance is seen by the gauge when it's full and empty. Just using the little buttons in here and following the instructions, you can get this thing perfect for almost any vehicle. There's some super cool tech going into these. I think this kind of gauge might be standard on Teslas. If you have any experience with it, let me know in the comments. The next step for me to get my fuel gauge working is to figure out which gauge I have in my truck. That's why it doesn't work right now, is because the gauge and the sender don't have matching resistance values. That's why none of them work in Matt's Off-Road Recovery. That's what I'm gonna go figure out, and then we can get this thing programmed. So my fuel gauge sender is hidden right down here, and I'm actually gonna unhook the wire and splice in different resistors and see which one makes this thing work properly. So I went and dug out my old electronics kit, and I have this box full of different resistors, and I'm gonna just keep plugging them in and seeing how much resistance means full and how much resistance means empty. So I'm grabbing these tiny little guys like this one right here, and I'm wiring them in down here. I'm just gonna hold these on the connector there and have Bridger yell and tell me what the gauge is reading. Bridger's holding the camera right now. I'm gonna have him jump in the cab and yell out to me what the gauge is doing. You're up, Bridger. Turn the key on, but don't start it, and tell me what the gauge does right now.
That's all the way full.
How about now?
Half.
Okay, what about now?
Empty.
Okay, how about this?
Half tank.
What do you have? What does it show?
Full tank.
Okay, I think we got it figured out. One more. What is this?
Full.
I'm trying to calibrate the LiDAR right now. And there's some complicated instructions. It's kind of like the game of Operation because I have these little alligator clips attached to the thing. And if they touch the wrong post, it says it will damage the sensor. I probably should have come up with a better setup for this, but this is working. I keep raising and lowering the sensor to mimic the full and empty position of the gas tank, and then hitting these little buttons until I get just the right output in ohms on my meter here. Got a little voltmeter hooked up. If I can get this thing calibrated properly, I'm gonna take it over to the truck and see if I can hook it up and get my gauge to read high and low when I move the meter up and down. When I hold the gauge close to the table, that should represent a full gas tank. If I lift it up high, that should represent an empty gas tank, like the gas is far away from my sender. I think I've got this thing calibrated as close as I can, just holding it above the tabletop to try and indicate full and empty. It's time to take it out to the truck. We're gonna attach this to the wires up in the tank, and then I'm gonna hold my hand different distances away. So that would be like an empty tank, like the fuel is really far. This would be like a full tank, like the fuel is really close. So we're gonna try this, and we're gonna see what happens to the gauge. Bridger, I'm gonna yell to you when I'm ready to try it. Okay, Bridger, what do you got right there? I'm excited about this fuel gauge. This thing is gonna work. All right, I poured out all of that degreaser and now it's time to put in the metal prep. So I'm gonna pour in the whole bottle because this is a really big tank, and I'm gonna slosh it and do the exact same thing. I emptied that tank out and then I rinsed it a couple times with water, dumped all that out. Now I've got to get it totally dry before I dump in the sealer. And it says you can use like a hair dryer or something, but I'm just sticking mine outside in the sun. All right, it is a very nice sunny day out here and this thing is heating up fast. I've only had it out here for like 20 minutes and I can barely keep my hand on it anymore. That should cook out all the moisture. This tank is completely dry now. Oh yeah, we're gonna be good. I'm ready to figure out where the pump needs to go and where that fuel tank sender needs to go, and I need to cut a couple of holes for those. So I'm gonna lay that out really quick and get the hole saw back out. Things are all laid out. I'm about ready to cut my holes. I double checked to make sure that big hole saw was just the right size for this pump. One of the cool things about this pump is these little flanges right here. Let me show you those. See that? Those little aluminum pieces will spin out when I tighten the bolts down. They'll grab the edge of the tank and clamp down that gasket and seal nice and tight. I'm gonna start cutting. I've got the holes in this tank all drilled out, but I can feel these big burrs on the inside here where I drilled these. So I'm gonna try and stuff this die grinder inside and see if I can polish that bottom surface so it'll seal really good when I attach that fuel sender. Okay, that works pretty good. I was able to clean out the bottom side of these holes. Now I'm just gonna vacuum this thing out in there so I get rid of all of the metal chips and the dust and everything that's been put in there. Then I'll show you what it looks like inside. All right, I vacuumed it out the best I could. Whatever metal dust is left in there is gonna have to get taken care of by the filter or get glued down by the fuel tank sealer. Either way, it should be fine. You can see there's a lot of flash rust in there, and that's what the degreaser and the metal prep does. It rusts that surface really quick, but that's okay, because POR stands for paint over rust. That's exactly what it's made to do. The tank is all clean now. I just have to figure out some way to seal off these holes so that after I pour in the tank sealer, I can slosh everything around and coat all of those surfaces really, really good. Finally time to put the sealer in. I've got 2 cans of this fuel tank sealer because this is a really big tank. I made a throwaway funnel because whatever this stuff gets on and dries on, it's gonna be there for a long time, including me and you. I'm gonna pour this in here, seal everything off really good, then I'll get Bridger out here and we'll shake this thing up. Oh man. Okay, that's can number 1. Okay, we've got everything in this tank now. We're just gonna start shaking it. We don't really need to like leave it for like a half hour or an hour on each side this time. We just have to get them coated and then drain everything down to one corner and then pour all the extra out. The baffles will be the trickiest part. We should just be able to set it on each side and they'll get coated. So we'll just do our best. Yeah, good shot.
Was that good?
Yeah.
I can't really see what's happening
You're right in the
now.
middle. You're like perfect. It was good to see some progress on the fuel tank. It says in the instructions to wait 96 hours. That won't be an issue because I got some big projects that I'm gonna jump onto for a few days. Then we'll get back to this, finish it up, and get it installed in the truck. I also wanna say thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. I was a little nervous about dropping that last video, but there was just an overwhelming flood of positive comments that came in. I really appreciate your support, and I just wanna leave with a very heartfelt thanks for watching.